Thank you for joining us today for a conversation about managing and moving forward with life after suffering from chronic pain. My name is Nigel Smith, and I'm pleased to partner with Bioness to share the impact of the company's StimRouter peripheral nerve stimulation implant in the lives of people across the country. Today, we are pleased to have 3 patients share their journeys with us so that you can hear in their own unique voices how their lives have been changed for the better. So without further ado, please let me welcome Felicia Hancock, Linda Thorp, and Dr. Fabienne Rottenberg to the conversation. Perhaps each of you might be willing to share a little about yourselves and how you've been impacted with pain. Linda, would you start off the conversation?
Sure. I am 59 years old. I live in Cape Cod. My pain started back in 2015. I had been very active. All of a sudden, the pain cut me off from doing many things that I love to do. I finally found some relief, but not enough to satisfy me. So my pursuit went on and on. I went through many different medical devices and treatments, and nothing seemed to work. So I'm a true believer in my StimRouter because it gave me my life back.
Felicia.
So I'm a retired police officer. I got injured on duty chasing a bad guy who we did catch, but not until I actually was on a motorcycle and hit a curb and ended up on the ground with a broken wrist. Went through a few surgeries for the broken wrist, and it wasn't until the surgeries were over that we found out that I had something called complex regional pain syndrome due to some nerve damage that was a result of that accident. And for about 9 months, we went back and forth with different therapies, with nerve ablations, with a multitude of drugs, including opioids and gabapentin, to try and relieve some of the pain. Even on all of that medication, it still hurt. I mean, it's a combination of a burning sensation with an ice pick, with a razor blade scraping your skin off. And when you can't get relief from that over the course of a 24-hour period, you end up being a not so happy person. And I like to be happy. Life's pretty good. So I went back to the doctors, and they sent me to Dr. Ottistat, who was one of the people that was involved in the onset with Bioness, and he suggested the StimRouter. And when I went in for a couple of preliminary trials and realized right away that what the StimRouter would do, how it would feel, and how it would work, I immediately told him to stop any other trials and go straight to the StimRouter. And I never looked back.
Thank you. And least but not least, Dr. Rottenberg, not just a New York-based physician, but also someone who shares a personal experience with chronic pain.
Yes, hello, my name is Fabienne Rottenberg. I'm 57 years old. I am in private practice in Manhattan, and I also at Mount Sinai. My journey started, my spiral down basically started in 2010. I had a ski accident, and following the ski accident, I ended up having a surgery on my hip, arthroscopic hip surgery. Then I had many different procedures until they figured out that actually there was nothing, and that there was nothing wrong with any of my bones. They thought that I had a CAM lesion at the time. That was the latest pathology, but that it was actually a nerve entrapment. I ended up at Johns Hopkins, and in 2017, I had a nerve decompression that gave me a lot of relief. And but in 2012, I had the nerve decompression. I got relief for about 5 years. In 2017, slowly the pain started creeping back. Went back to Johns Hopkins, and I was told, well, you know, you will need a more invasive abdominal and pelvic surgery. And I was trying to keep that at bay because it would have left me with permanent no sensation in my leg, and I was also very afraid that I will have some motor deficiency because I I have, the diagnosis was neuralgia paresthetica, which is an entrapment of the lateral femoral cutaneous nerve. It happened that anatomically it's very close to, my nerve was very close to the, to a motor nerve, and I was very afraid that I would lose ability to walk and be active. I was managed for many years with different procedure, radio frequency ablation. My back is punctuated with different area of atrophy from all the steroid injection that I've had. I would get temporary relief. I was very happy when I would go, you know, to the operating room, even if it was outpatient, at least I would be knocked out for a little while. The pain was slowly, you know, I learned to live with, let's say, a 3/10 for a number of years. I would wear patch. I was on SSRI, antidepressant. I was on a combo of all different drugs, and the quality of my life was deteriorating slowly and surely. It was affecting my private practice. It was affecting, I'm a single mom. I was not being a very good parent. It was getting pretty bad. I finally say, okay, I'm gonna have another procedure at Johns Hopkins. Miracle, call it whatever you want. The surgery was postponed. During that time, I decided to check with some other doctors, and I ended up at Mount Sinai. I don't know, should I go further into it, you know? But that was basically it was a long journey. It was a very long journey.
Linda, Dr. Rottenberg just made an interesting comment about living your life and trying to deal with the pain. I'm wondering if you could share a little bit about what you went through and how you were trying to manage.
After 2 years of doctor's visits to several orthopedic specialists at Brigham and Women and Mass General, Cape Cod Orthopedics, and 2 years of physical therapy, 3 sessions of radial shockwave therapy, which is just unbelievably painful, cold laser therapy, various medications. I was finally diagnosed with complex regional pain syndrome in February of 2017. I participated in physical therapy for almost a year, didn't have much relief. I went to 2 different pain management doctors where I received 6 sessions of acupuncture, topical creams. I also took duloxetine. It gave me a little relief. Over-the-counter pain medications didn't do anything for me. It was very difficult, obviously, finding relief. I would try anything. I would go anywhere. I would listen to anyone. It became so frustrating. I would cry at the drop of a hat. Was it from pain? Yes, but it was also from frustration. You know, somebody would walk in the door and you're trying to wipe away your tears because they're there to visit and have fun, and you're just not able to do that. So frustration, pain just consumed your life. It wasn't the life you were in before you had CRPS. It's just, no one can understand unless they're going through it.
Felicia, do you agree? Can you relate?
Well, absolutely. Yeah, I went from being an active person who, I was a bit of an adrenaline junkie. You know, I was a police officer, I was riding motorcycles, I was scuba diving, I was doing all these different activities, and on Monday I was able to do them, and by Friday I wasn't. Just even the idea of taking a shower, just the water hitting my hand hurt. Sleeping, if the sheet rubbed my hand the wrong way, I would wake up. You could get an average of 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night, maybe if you're lucky, depending upon the medications you were taking. It literally interrupted every aspect of your life. You can't brush your teeth, you can't wash your hair, you can't. I was wearing my husband's shirts because if I put my arm through a sleeve of my shirt and it rubbed, then the pain would just skyrocket and I'd be in tears. So for a year, I lived in my husband's shirt. And, you know, it's not the most attractive look, I can say. You know, so when you're used to being so active and doing so much, and you go from literally thinking, how is this going to hurt me? And is it worth the pain to get this accomplished? And 90% of the time you say no, and you end up going from active to inactive. And that takes your psyche down so much more than even the broken wrist ever did. Because the broken wrist healed, but the pain never went away. And that was the frustrating, annoying part of it all.
Since you brought up your husband's shirt, there's sort of an expression in healthcare where, challenges are more than just the patient, but it impacts the family. Do you feel like your pain was impacting your relationship with your husband or your family members, or was pain hampering your ability to participate in activities you enjoyed most?
Oh, absolutely. I end up getting up 2 or 3 times a night. And, if I'm up, he's up. It was that simple. If he wanted to go do something simple like going out to eat, just to cheer me up, but not realizing how frustrating it is, because it just is so painful of a concept that you just say no. And then they start feeling rejected and dejected, and they don't understand it has nothing to do with them. It's just a painful thing. And in fact, at the time of my injury, we weren't married. We were engaged, and we were going to be married. And I was looking at a future of getting married without even being able to hold my husband's hand. I wasn't going to be able to enjoy dinner. I was going to be on drugs, throughout the whole process. And I ended up with my StimRouter about 4 months before we got married. And with the StimRouter, I was able to adjust my day, wear the StimRouter all morning, so it alleviated the pain. And I was actually able to hold my husband's hand while we were getting married, which is something I didn't think I was going to be able to do for a very long time.
Pain impacts many aspects of life. Linda, do you have a story similar?
Yes, my CRPS is on the bottom of my foot. So obviously any type of activity other than lifting weights is pretty much restricted. It affected not only my business, but obviously my personal life. I couldn't vacuum. I couldn't go to the grocery store, which was okay with me. I couldn't do housework. We were very involved in, outdoor activities. We're boaters. And, as a first mate, I was in charge of bringing up the anchor and help dock the boat and bringing stuff back and forth up and down. And now I was just the latent passenger. Very frustrating. My kids would come down and want to go for a walk on the beach with the dog. And of course I wanted to go because I don't spend much time with my grown kids who live far away. And it was frustrating. I would go to the beach, I would walk a little bit and then sit down and say, okay, when you return, go have your walk. I lost a lot of happy time and quality time with my family. I loved to swim. I still love to swim. I'm able to now. I couldn't swim. The pressure on my heel was so bad. It's kind of like putting it in a bathtub, only you're swimming. It's incredible. It was like an elastic was squishing the circulation out of my foot. So I had to give up swimming. I gave up yoga. We would go camping. Instead of our hikes, it turned into a car ride through the woods, because nobody wanted to not deal with me. You just keep it quiet. No matter what's going on, you can see pain in people's faces, but you can't always understand the depth of it. So I would just try to be happy with my kids, even though they could probably see the pain through my eyes.
Dr. Rottenberg, how did pain impact you? And you already hinted at talking about the relationship with your daughter, but how in the different ways did pain impact your ability to enjoy life?
Well, it affected everything. I was not aware all the different sphere it touched, but often my secretary reminded me that I would call the office and say, I cannot see patient, reschedule, okay? And then the day I would come to the office, when I would get home, I couldn't wait to take something like a narcotic, basically to knock myself out. And I didn't really interact much with my child. I was not involved in his extracurricular activity. I couldn't really make him dinner. I couldn't watch his homework or feedback. And on weekend, you know, we like to bicycle, we outdoor as much as we can in the city. And I was not fun to be around. It was very, very frustrated. He could see I was in pain, but still, you know, he didn't understand why I was like in a fog. It affected our personal relationship, the quality. He didn't have a mom for a few years, or he had a ghost of a mom. I think he will always remember that. And we're going to address the before and after. And now he's, you know, he has a mom, a full active mom.
At one point, I'm not whoever wants to go first, but at one point, could you share when you learned about the StimRouter, and why was this something it was worth considering at this point in your journey?
Well, I was supposed to have, as I mentioned earlier, a fairly extensive surgery, and I'm a single mom, and I was going to have to stay about 10 days in the hospital at Johns Hopkins, with afterwards 6 weeks of recovery, bed rest. I was not looking forward. I mean, it was, I had reached a wall. My life was not living. If it wasn't for my son, I have to say, some certain thought would go through my mind, because there was no quality, there was just pain. So as I mentioned, the surgery was postponed, and I went to see one of the neurosurgeons that I had visited over the years, and he said, you know, go see, there is that technology. I don't do it, but go to Mount Sinai. And I work at Mount Sinai. I went to, and I went in, Dr. Stimmer listened to me, said, let's do a trial. Let's do the trial tomorrow. I said, well, can you do it now? He said he has some more patients. I said, I will be in the waiting room. I want to do the trial now. We did the trial. Oh my gosh, I was suddenly, I had the vision of what could be my life without pain, just from the trial. And I begged him, let's do it as soon as possible. And it was really a miracle. I called Johns Hopkins. I said, I think I'm going to cancel. Okay. And he told me, wait, because this is the trial. We're going to try to squeeze you in before your due date to go to have the procedure. Let's see. But I suddenly, it was going from black to pink. Okay. From the bottom of the pit. Suddenly I saw there was a rope that I could maybe climb back and be there for my son. It's a miracle, absolutely a miracle.
Linda, what brought you to researching and coming across the StimRouter and go forward with the procedure?
I believe it was sometime in early July 2018. I was just researching, as we all do all the time when you have something like this. I was researching on medication. One of my pain management doctors wanted me to, to research, maybe switch medications. And so you're reading furiously, and then all of a sudden on the right-hand side, there's all those little ads, which we ignore because they're just ads. Well, when you have CRPS or any chronic pain and you see something with those words, I mean, I just saw the letter CRPS. My eyes immediately went to the ad for a change. I read the ad. It said, StimRouter by an S. Contact us if you want more information. I literally put my computer down and contacted them, and that's it. I ended up giving them all the information they needed, as far as, they ask all the questions, all the correct questions to determine if you may be a candidate. And then they start contacting your insurance companies and going through that whole process to make sure that you're not all wasting time. And it was basically that simple.
Felicia?
So the hospital I was at was Stanford, and I was working with their orthopedist, and he sent me to their pain management clinic. And on day one, it was an all-day workup. You show up at 9 o'clock in the morning, and they keep you there till 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you meet with various doctors and go over various things. And that's when they diagnosed me finally with the CRPS. And one of the last things I did, actually the last thing I did, was I got sent to Dr. Ottistat, and he was going to do an ultrasound to see if he could locate the nerve damage. When he did the ultrasound, I described everything that I was feeling, and he knew exactly which nerve to go to, and he pinpointed the damage within 5 minutes. It was that quick. And he is the one who explained to me about buying a StimRouter. And on top of that, he gave me 4 or 5 different options because he wanted to make sure I was well educated and could look into all of this for myself. In the meantime, while I was looking into StimRouter, we went through a nerve freeze, we went through an ablation, and which worked temporarily. What was supposed to work for 72 hours, I was lucky to get 6 to 8 hours of relief on. And when I realized when he was in there, he was stimulating the nerve and explaining this is what your StimRouter would do and how it would feel. And I realized right then, that's what I wanted. I wanted to go back to work, and to be able to go back to work, I had to get off of all the medications. I had to have a solution to a pain problem because I couldn't go to work in pain. You know, being a police officer in pain is probably not a good mix. So
you were saying there was sort of a moment where they were able to sort of predict or give you a sense of how it might work for you. Was there a StimRouter aha moment for you after the procedure?
It was actually during the procedure. What they do to make sure they're on the right nerve is they stimulate the nerve that's affected. And when he stimulated it, and I immediately felt relief, and I told him, I said, that feels wonderful. What are you doing? And he said, well, this is a nerve stimulation, and this is what your StimRouter is going to feel like. At which point I said, well, why are we wasting our time with everything else? Put it in. I don't need to try 5 other things anymore. Let's just cut the middleman out and go straight to the solution. It's a simple solution. It's a wire that's implanted in your arm and a battery pack, a very tiny battery pack that's on the outside of your arm. And when you need it, you turn it on. And when you don't need it, you put your battery into a drawer and let it charge up. And I could go back to work and wear my uniform and nobody would even be the wiser that I even had it on if I needed it. It's got a residual, when I found out it also had a residual effect. So when you start using it, you might need it for the majority of the day. I'm 2.5 years out and I use it 2 or 3 times a day, and mostly as preventative maintenance. So if, like tomorrow we're going to go on a hike, I'll use a StimRouter in the morning and then I have the entire day pain-free while I'm hiking through the mountains. And it's a wonderful solution. The minute I got programmed, I got off all my medications and never looked back. I couldn't go to work with medications. I didn't want to live on medications. I'd seen the opioid epidemic firsthand, and I didn't want to be one of those statistics. So when I found a solution that didn't require any medication, I signed up right away.
Linda, what about you? Did you have a StimRouter aha moment, and would you recommend it to others who are in a pain journey?
Absolutely. I was at Mount Sinai. Dr. Spinner was my surgeon. We did a trial as well a few weeks ahead of time. It was amazing. He said, this is what it's going to feel like. And my foot was numb, but he said that part will wear off. And sure enough, I had relief. So the same type of situation, you want to know, why can't they do the surgery right now or very quickly, or because this was something you were hoping and praying for so long. When the surgery finally happened, you're in the operating room, you're awake, you only have a local, because they want to know when they are actually pinpointing that exact nerve where they need to place that very thin wire, which is amazing that a thin wire like that can give so much relief, being so non-invasive. After I was implanted, they literally started my programmer right away, or they taught me how, because I was so far away. I didn't want to have to come back from Cape Cod to New York just for the programming of your handheld StimRouter, which is how you turn on and off your stim. So I had relief pretty quickly right after the stim was implanted. I was on a train back to Cape Cod the next day. They said, turn it on. So I did turn it on for a little while, and I think my eyes were bugging out of my head because I couldn't yell hooray in the middle of a train with a bunch of people. So Yes, successful.
Dr. Rottenberg, I'd love your thoughts on if you think there was an aha moment with your StimRouter, and if you knew you had made a good choice, and would you recommend it to others?
Okay, so the aha moment was during the trial. I have to tell you, after the procedure, when it was turned on about 2 days later. It didn't work. For some reason, the setting hadn't been done properly. But within a day or two, it was corrected. And then it was an epiphany. It blew my mind how something so non-invasive, after all the procedure, the surgery, I had about 7 surgery on that leg, okay, which I didn't go into the detail, but I said, oh my gosh, why is it not, how come so few people know about it? Here I'm in New York City, and it took me very long time to finally get to the solution. I was angry. I called all my doctors. I say, guys, what's going on? This is out there. And I was furious that I could have become like Felicia. I could have been, one of those, drug addict. Even, I was being careful, but it was in the back of my mind, the spiraling down, and I was furious. But on the other hand, I said, I want to do whatever I can. And when I went to work, patients saw that I had gotten remarried, because I was beaming suddenly, or that I had found finally a good guy, I was happy. I was not that lady who whatever, okay? And it was really, that's why I want to become, whatever I can do for that company, I will do, because it is night and day, and pain is so debilitating. As I mentioned, if it was, okay, if it wasn't for it was a aha moment with a delay, but I didn't give up, because I got a taste during the trial of what could be. Okay, so that it was, and I haven't regretted. All of the rats in New York must be all, knocked out several months ago from all the drugs that I dump in the toilets. Okay, my son is not so happy, because now I am on top of him, so with his homework, I've become a hawk. So maybe he wish, I was back to being not a mom, but it's phenomenal. I am ecstatic.
Linda, pain-free going forward to you means what?
My life back. You just want people to know about this, that you can see person one day being so much pain, and a week later or whatever, after they receive their StimRouter, their life is back. I swim, I boat, I've gone to yoga. I now can walk down the street more than 25 steps. I just want to help people. I am just amazed at the number of people that have CRPS. Some of them have it full body. I just can't imagine. It's such a humbling experience, but I feel so blessed that I've found my lifesaver, my miracle, and I just wish everybody would do their research and find out about this, but it's just hard getting the word out to everyone. But if I can, I will.
Felicia, the final word to you about a pain-free life going forward.
I would agree with Linda. I got my life back. People talk about things and surgeries and events being life-changing. And one of the questions I get is how has StimRouter changed my life? And the reality is it didn't change my life. It gave me my life back. I loved my life. I had the best life, and I have it back again. I'm still back on the motorcycle. I can go scuba diving. I can go hiking. I can do all the wonderful things that I did before, and now I just don't take them for granted. Going out to dinner and being able to dress up and put on a jacket's awesome. And when you get that taken away for a couple of years of your life and you finally get it back again, then everything becomes just that much more better.
Linda, Felicia, and Dr. Rottenberg, thank you for joining today, and hope that our audience has benefited from your individual experiences. If you or loved ones going through your chronic pain journey, I invite you to visit www.StimRouter for more information. Thank you again, ladies, for your time, and wish you continued pain-free days ahead.